Hey guys, this is Discourse Miniatures with a new video for you today. With a very exciting video, actually. Just 5 minutes ago, it looks like Night Models have finally revealed how they intend on bringing the game forward, the Batman Miniatures game forward, and that is by selling the crew decks in a single box through a huge objective card set box. And this is awesome. This is excellent. This is exactly what I was looking for. It looks like they are selling a huge bundle of the crews all together, all at once. And it means that now the crew decks should be accessible to new players. This is absolutely superb. I'm really excited for this. It looks like they have bundled a certain collection of crews, however. So, just to provide a little bit of context, previously, how the crews were being sold, where you would either get the crew deck in the sort of bat box, the bat box, of course, being a 350 rep sort of box full of models and miniatures, and then you get all the cards with them for your crew. But for some crews that worked, it worked for Birds of Prey. And then for other crews, it wasn't quite as good. I'm thinking here specifically the Riddler crew that just came out there last earlier on this year. And then there was, of course, the Court of Owls crew as well. For those two crews, Night Models had recently just they had just redone the second edition bat boxes. They'd sort of updated those, but they weren't really putting any new crew decks inside those boxes. And the Riddler didn't even get an updated second edition bat box, as far as I know. He just got sort of the second edition cards. They're still completely viable with the third edition, but they didn't get a crew deck at all. And as we can see here, it looks like the Riddler and the and Two Face and Bane and the League of Assassins, Birds of Prey, Court of Owls, Organized Crime, Cobra, Penguin, and Unknown. It looks like they're all being bundled together in a single objective card box. This is super exciting. There's a couple of things I want to point out. Firstly, Batman and Joker do not appear to be like they're coming out in this objective card box set. So that's actually quite interesting. I'd like to talk about that in a moment. But secondly, it looks like they are finally heating us in that we need the cards. That we need the physical cards. As it was right now, before this, the cards were being released digitally. So some crews had the cards physically, like Birds of Prey, like Two Face, the ones that had new bot boxes, new third edition boxes released, and then some crews did not. So Riddler, Court of Owls, they didn't have access to those. They had the cards available digitally. There's actually been a little bit of work going on in those decks as well. I know. There's been a little bit of discussion on the Arkham Rejects Discord, where Night Models do have a little bit of a presence. It looks like they have been sort of consulting the community there on the text and the balance on some of the Court of Owls cards. So it looks like that sort of feedback is making its way into this box set. It's making its way into these updated physical cards that will be official products sold by Night Models. Because right now, for both Court of Owls and for Riddler, you cannot physically purchase the cards from them anywhere. And in fact, you weren't really able to get the League of Assassins have a separate sort of card box. I know this because I literally just bought it. Literally bought it the other day. So a bit of a redundant purchase, perhaps. Uh, they had a separate box set, and so did the Birds of Prey. You could buy them separately as well if you didn't want to buy the sort of Birds of Prey third edition bat box. So it looks like they're being bundled into this big box set, coming along with a number of other crews. So if for whatever reason you didn't want to buy the Two Face bat box, the third edition bat box that Two Face got, now you can pick up his deck separately in this big huge box. Um, So this is super exciting, right? This has been a major issue for Night Models. It has been an inability to play the core game because of a lack of peripherals. So as much as Night Models have made the miniatures very available and easy to get on their website, they have not been selling any means by which we can play the game, the physical content of the game. I picked up League of Assassins recently, the crew box, because I was concerned about whether or not I would actually be able to get access to that crew box in the future. And I wasn't sure, or sorry, not the crew box, the crew deck in the future. And I wasn't sure, how they were going to be going forward. So I decided I had to pick it up. And then I sort of treated myself to a Rachel Gould and a Nubu model as well because they were on sale. But yeah, so I mean, I picked up the crew deck because as much as I don't have right now any real miniatures to go along with that crew deck, I still wanted to pick it up just to sort of future proof myself so that I was able to build a crew of League of Assassins going forward. It looks like that was a little bit of a premature sort of concern. It looks like now Night Models have finally revealed it's going to be a massive box set filled with crews. I'm super excited by this. Obviously, for sort of existing players, players who already have maybe half the decks. For me personally, I have the Two Face deck, I have the Soldiers of Fortune deck there, I have the Birds of Prey deck already. So I have three out of those decks. So they're going to be a little bit redundant, but to be honest, depending on the price point for this, I think it's totally acceptable to sort of have a little bit of redundancy. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's always nice to have maybe duplicates of cards just in case you either lose cards or even just to give to your friend. It means that you can do mirror matches. I do intend at some stage on doing a Joker v Joker. I think that would be pretty fun. I think there's some really interesting models. So, you know, there's potential there. I agree, though. I get it. It kind of sucks that you're going to have to repurchase things that you've already bought. Whether or not night models, I think the most consumer friendly thing to do would be to, make it possible to to buy individual uh, box sets, for each crew. I think how they were doing it originally was more consumer friendly, but evidently there was issues with getting the cards out this way. At least, if you buy the deck box, this card set, you buy that once and you get everything you need. Well, at least it looks like this is objective card set one, right? So it looks like they have plans to increase the amount of objective cards available in the future. Of course, we already knew that, but the fact that they have sort of certified that this is the first of presumably two, three, four, who knows how many, is awesome. Um, so yeah, like super exciting. I think it will make it really easy for new players to just simply buy this box and get everything they want. And it makes sense from Night Model's perspective, right? Because it means that if you're only interested in, say, the Riddler, and you pick up this box, you'll have the crew decks for Two Face, you'll have the crew decks for Bane and Organized Crime. So maybe you might have a look through those cards as well and see this gameplay looks pretty interesting. Maybe I want to try them. There's some crews that I didn't really have any aesthetic interest in, but their gameplay sounds so interesting just because Night Models have made a really good, strong, mechanically strong game, and they have made very interesting themes out of the decks and made the miniatures really shine on the tabletop. I've really brought out a lot of really interesting themes in those factions, right? So I had no real interest in the Court of Owls, but I've read through their deck now and they seem super interesting. Now I really want to buy Court of Owls and I have no interest in them from the comics or anything. So for that reason, I think it's good to maybe be given some of these cards in a single box. The price point hasn't been released yet. I would estimate that the price point, it's hard to say. They were selling the individual card packs for around 10 to 15 pounds. So I think that's probably about 18 bucks, $20. Um, I think that we should probably hope to see a little bit of reduction in terms of the per unit cost here. At the end result for buying it is a big bundle, so I would hope that it wouldn't be any more expensive than say maybe £50. What would that be? $60, $70, right? Because if you go any higher than that, you're starting to get into sort of starter box territory. You expect maybe miniatures at that stage. So, yep. So first things first, that's awesome. I'm loving the fact that they're finally not getting a grip on it. I'm just super happy to actually hear that they have a plan. There's been so many hints and so many teases about this that I'm just super happy to actually hear that they are going to be releasing the actual cards as content, because the OneDrive was not viable for me. I don't have access to a printer. And really, to be honest, I wouldn't expect new players coming into the game to print cards. I don't think that's acceptable for this time, right? For a new miniature game, for a sort of niche miniature game, to expect people to print off their own cards, I don't think that's kind of acceptable from a sort of business model perspective. So I'm really glad to see that they're finally making this purchasable. So right off the bat, I'm super happy. Kind of sucks for people who are going to have to repurchase the same content, who maybe are only interested in one or two crews. I get it. But all the same, it makes sense to do it this way. Evidently, this is a more viable way for them to do it. And so, I'm just glad that it's finally available. Secondly, there is a huge list of crews here. This is a huge, huge list of crews. We have Two Face, we have Bane, we have Riddler, we have League of Assassins, Birds of Prey, Court of Owls, Organized Crime, Cobra Cults, Penguin, and Unknown. So I'm presuming that Unknown means generic cards, right? I'm presuming that that's just going to be generic cards. Penguin, obviously, we've been expecting Penguin for a while. Two Face, okay, so we've seen the Two Face deck. Soldiers of Fortune, okay, that used to be purchasable by itself, though I think they've stopped printing those. Riddler, okay, we've been waiting to hear about Riddler. League of Assassins, that was always available. Birds of Prey, that was always available. Court of Owls, yep, we've been expecting that to be available. But Organized Crime and Cobra Cult, now we haven't heard anything. There's no tense sorry, no hints, no teases, no nothing about organized crime or Cobra cults until now. This is the first time we're seeing these, the suggestion that there's new content. Now, there's no cards here that I have seen that are new, right? Except for the penguin one. There is a new penguin card. Everyone has a price. Um, so that is the only new content. There's another penguin card here that we have seen hints of previously on the Night Model Facebook. But apart from that, there's no new organized crime or no new Cobra cult. So, it's very curious that they seem to be saying that they're going to be selling these together in a single box. Because presumably then, I mean, I would have thought that we would have heard about teases from these two crews before now if we were going to be seeing them in a new box that was releasing anytime soon. So they're saying in the text that this is long awaited, but finally here. Yes, we've seen it, but when will this be sold? I think it'd be really nice for Night Models to let us know when this will be sold. To be honest, the suggestion of organized crime and corporate cults sort of in this box makes me think that there's going to be a few months before we can even purchase this, which is going to be really sad because we sort of have been expecting the Penguin deck and the Riddler deck and the Court of Owls deck. We've been waiting so long for those already. It's really sad that we're not seeing them. But, if it takes a couple of months and we get a lot more crews, I guess I suppose I can accept that. It's nice to know at the very least that organized crime and Cobra cults, we always presumed that they were getting decks, but it's nice to have, certainty that that is indeed the case. So obviously there's a few crews missing. There's Batman and there's Joker that are missing, and there's also Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is a huge fan favorite. Every single time that Nine Models, say, "Oh, they mention anything about a new model, or they reveal a new model, or they talk about a new crew, there's always people asking for Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze is super loved, and it makes sense. Mr. Freeze has a first edition model, but he doesn't have a second edition model, and he has not received any updates. And his model looks really good, and he has really interesting themes and dynamics, and it'd be so easy to make a sort of themed deck around him. And there's a homebrew deck that I've had a read through that seems a read through, and it seems really interesting. It seems super playable. It kind of writes itself. So it's sort of disappointing that there's no Mr. Freeze here. However, this is objective card set one, and I would say that there's no teams here either. So our Teen Titans, are they going to be getting a deck at any stage? Suicide Squad, are they going to be getting a deck at any stage? Is objective card set one just for teams? Or sorry, is it just for this crew, like just for the actual crews? And then for objective card set two, is that going to be for teams? Is there going to be an update team in any ways? Or is it going to be for more crews? Is it going to be Mr. Freeze? Hopefully so. I mean, Red, if you really want to be hopeful, all this is saying is that this is objective card set one, and here's what's in number one. That implies that there's going to be a number two. And to be honest, with the ones that they have listed here, I'm really surprised to see Organized Crime and Cobra Cult. If they are included in this box set, then what can you include in objective card set two? Right. I mean, you've got 10 decks, presumably including the generic deck, or simply just the character cards, because we see Catwoman here. But there's 10 sort of groups, clumps of, decks, of crew decks, or what have you. What could be in card set two? Mr. Freeze, Batman, Joker? Well, maybe. See, I don't actually think that they're going to release Joker or Batman in one of these box sets. Or if they do, it's going to be in this number two. I think that they're re releasing. I think this is actually a huge hint and this is what I was referring to earlier, I think this is a huge hint at the new starter box. I think the fact that there's no Joker or Batman in this box set as a massive red flag. Well, not a red flag, but it's a huge flag that they're going to be releasing the starter box soon. Because why would you not include Batman and Joker in this box set? Right? If this is box set one, why would you not include them in that? And the answer would be because they're going to be released in a different card set, or rather, not a card set, but a different box, a different set. I think they're going to be released in a new starter box. I think we're going to see it soon. And I actually could see it being released alongside this objective card set. I mean, think about how amazing that would be if the Batman miniature game, next month or the month after came out with the starter box with all the peripherals you need, the Joker, the Batman, the generic cards, the serum markers, everything you need, and then a card set for all the other crews that are currently available. Wow, that would be great, right? That'd be such an easy buy-in. If you're a new player and you're like, where do I start? How do I begin get into Batman miniature game? We just point you to the starter box, point you to the card set, and say, go ahead. That's everything you need. That has been the sort of the big sticking point with the buy-in for new players. So that's awesome. And to support this, I'm just going here to this is an interview that with Night Models from Sean Davis over at Top Hatted Hamster. He runs a game store, but he recently interviewed the purchase manager. Sorry, I'm gonna probably butcher this name, but it's Vicente Bermudez, purchase manager at Night Models. He had an interview with him, and in this interview, Sean did ask him. He asked him a very probing question, I think. And let's see. And there was a big hint. Okay, so Sean asks him, okay, as Batman gets more popular, how do you night models plan to bring in new people who may not have the gaming experience, but those who want to, and how do you plan on using the community? How do you expect to grow the community, basically? And the answer from Night Models was really cryptic. From Vicente, he said that next month will be a definitive answer for this question. Our supporters will see many news that would help to keep people connected to BMG and later to DC Multiverse miniature game and Harry Potter. So next month will be a definitive answer. Now this was done this month. So this was done in April. So I think that this is one part of that. I think that the lack of a Batman and a Joker crew deck is the other part. And I think that that is a massive hint that there's going to be a starter box, which is great. I cannot wait. I need another starter box. I need a starter box. I need to be able to tell people to sell this game to to basically try and get more people to play this game because it's such a good game and it's so hard to get into right now. So yes, this is amazing. This is awesome buy-in. Um, I'm super happy about that. Hopefully we see Mr. Freeze. Hopefully we see, far more crews in a, sort of objective card set too. I think that the third edition is a really solid foundation, and I think that you really could get a lot of years out of this game. I think there's a lot of content to do. I think that the crew decks make every single crew super unique, and I think there's a lot of design scope for the game with further crew decks. Yeah, so hopefully this is just a objective card set one, and hopefully we see another objective card set two. Um, just by the by, it does look like they are doing character cards in here, which is really odd to me because, for example, they show Catwoman's card here, and if you buy the Catwoman model, you'll get her card, right? So I'm guessing that they're doing this to sort of future proof the character cards. That if you have maybe a second edition, version of Catwoman, you can buy this box set and get access to her card. If they ever reveal, ever do a new Catwoman model, that they might not have a character card bundled in that, or if there's ever, I just think that they're basically just really trying to future proof the box set, trying to include everything they potentially can. To maybe increase the price of the box, or I think more generously to just ensure that if you buy this box, this is your one stop shop to get everything in it. Yeah, so really big news today. I am hyper excited about this. I will pick it up, even though I have half the decks already. I'm really looking forward to be able to pick up all of the decks all at once. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think it was a good idea? Do you think instead maybe they should have revealed or released the decks separately? What do you think about the announcement of the Cobra cults and organized crime? Do you think that means that we're going to be seeing this box set later rather than sooner? Are we going to see it next month, the way they have hinted at in the Top Hatted Hamster interview? Um, yeah, I'd be really, really interested in your thoughts on this because I think there's a lot to speculate about here, specifically in that we haven't even heard anything about organized crime or cult in terms of the cards. We haven't seen any teases for those. So, yeah, I don't know how to take that. I'm really surprised to see that it be included in this objective card set one. But yeah, um, so yeah, I just can't wait to get my hands on this. So if you enjoyed this content, please do like and subscribe. It really helps me in terms of just getting the channel seen more, get shared more. Trying to push some Batman miniature game on people. It really does help with that. And yeah, please do comment below because I do read every comment, and I'd be really interested in hearing your thoughts on what you guys think about this because I think this might be a little bit controversial in the community. Um, I'm super psyched about it. But by all means, please do let me know your thoughts below.